since we have a small group today, at least right now, why don't we go around and just introduce ourselves really quick so we know who we're talking to. I'll start. My name's Sean Morrison. I'm the current chair of the St. Tammany Democratic Party. I got that position for about one more week. And I'm going to pass it on to Lynn because she's going to be kind of our Zoom hostess here and helping us with the tech side. So Lynn.
Hi, I'm Lynn, the Zoom hostess today. I am on the DPEC representing Covington as well as the Democratic State Central Committee for Covington.
Gail.
Okay, I'm Gail Leday. I'm currently a member of the St. Tammany DPEC for about another week, but I've been serving there for 16 years. I'm on the North Democratic Women's Club and in the League of Women Voters. So that's it.
Since we're talking to DPEC, let's talk to Maurice.
Hi, this is Maurice Toussaint. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I'm with DPEC. I'll be one of the continuing members of DPEC, and I'm here to try and get this thing started.
Great. Anaya?
Hi, everyone. My name is Anaya. I'm a racial justice fellow at the ACLU of Louisiana, and I'm happy to be here and talk a little bit more about our work.
Awesome. Bonnie?
Yes, I think I cover all bases. I am not a member of DPEC, but I am a member of the Precinct Organizing Committee, which is a committee of DPEC. I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters, formerly chairman of the Criminal Justice Committee, which is a real issue right now for all of us in criminal justice reform. And I'm also a member of the Democratic Women's Club. Thank you.
Thank you. Betty?
I'm Betty Thomas, and
oh, we lost you. Audio. And I got Brenda over there, but she's connecting to audio. So, Madeline?
Hi, I'm Madeline Hill, and I'm a member of the North Shore Democratic Women's Club. And I also recently joined a new local group. It's a small group called the Heart of the Matter, and we are pushing for anti-racist policy within St. Tammany Parish and currently focusing on law enforcement and education right now. So that's where I am, and I'm just hoping to learn more ways to get out there and help. And then this is my mom. I'm Becky Hill. I'm Madeline's mom. And I want to get involved.
Excellent. Devon?
I'm Devin Shinkovich. I'm part of the Sunflower Initiative. We're a newer group in on the North Shore. Sorry, I have a cat on me. And we're
Brenda, you with us? Well, that's Brenda Palmer, folks. She's on the DPEC with us as well. I don't know if she can hear us or the audio. But why don't we go ahead and get started and talk about a little bit why we're here today. Obviously, there's been a lot going on in 2020, and I think a lot of people are passionate. They're fired up. They want to do something. Maybe they have done stuff in the past and just don't know where to go. And ultimately, what we want to do is start the conversation about pointing people who are ready to work and pointing them in the right direction so that they can turn that passion into action. Now, I had a whole spiel, that's going to be very inspirational about why people should get involved in this sort of way. But with Representative John Lewis's passing, I think that nothing I could say couldn't be said better by his life. He's not known because he discovered injustice or even because he spoke out against it. He's not known for his Twitter account or the number of followers he had. John Lewis knew that to make change, you had to go into the streets and actually make it happen. That's why he helped organize the March on Washington, where Dr. King gave his I Have a Dream speech. That's why he marched in Selma, Alabama, and was beaten by troopers for it. And that's why he pushed not just for a general concept of equality, but for concrete steps like the Voting Rights Act that would make it happen. And importantly, I think, especially today, is that he did not shy away from politics. He didn't say that the whole thing was too dirty or he didn't like the parties. Rather, he jumped in with his whole heart. He started by running for the Atlanta City Council, and a few years later became a congressman where he served for decades. And it was in politics that he was able to make some of his largest contributions to this nation. So I say that because I know that people have a very dim view of the political process these days, but it's in that process that we can make real lasting change. So all the groups here today are the kind of groups that engage in that process, push that process, and make changes that we can measure and see and that affect people's lives every single day. So we have a great lineup today. You're going to hear from me about the St. Tammany Democratic Party and the local party and how that kind of works. We have the North Shore Democratic Women's Club. We have the League of Women Voters, the American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana, the ACLU, and Voice of the Experience, or VOTE, which is a great organization that we've been working with as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. As I said, I am the chair currently of the St. Tammany Democratic Party. And, you know, you might know the Democratic Party. You've heard of us, right? You probably know us as the party that takes this disease seriously. You might know us as the party of fiscal responsibility these days. We're the party of John Lewis, and most recently, we're the party of not gassing peaceful protesters. But you may not know us that well here in St. Tammany, and it's our job to really work to change that. So what does this thing look like? Well, I'm the chair of the St. Tammany Democratic Party Executive Committee. We call it a DPEC, and it's simply the group that helps organize and coordinate the party's activities throughout the parish. Each parish has a DPEC, and there's also a state party, which we call the DSCC. All of our members are elected officials, and those elections just happened last weekend during the presidential primaries. And ultimately, our goal is to help promote Democratic candidates and initiatives and Democratic values. So since we're here to talk about getting involved, let's talk about that a little bit and what we do and how people can get involved with the party. So we organize our projects under subcommittees, but really they're just project teams. And anybody can join one of these projects, not just DPEC members. And I encourage all of the people on this call and you to reach out to your networks and let people know that they can get involved in a project that they're passionate about. So just to go through a small group of our groups, precinct organizing, that's probably our biggest one. Bonnie mentioned this just a minute ago. We recognized a few years back that we really needed a ground up solution, especially in a parish like this, to get mobilized and active. Precinct organizers, they are the real activists of the party. The goal here is to build party support and organization at a precinct level. That's meeting and organizing with your neighbors. And this is year round, not just during elections. So you're always having an opportunity to talk to folks. Now, these groups are ready when an election happens, which makes them especially effective. It does involve door knocking, phone calls, meeting neighbors, and stuff like that. So if you're a very extroverted person who likes to meet a lot of people, it's a great opportunity to do that. We also have a Justice Reform Committee with the new Justice Reform movement here in Louisiana. We put this committee together to really make sure that these reforms aren't just empty laws. And the big project they've been working on lately has been to help the formerly incarcerated register to vote. And they're working closely with other organizations that are on this call, so I'll kind of let them get into more details of that. But there's been a real solid, concrete movement there. We have a communications group that works on social media, online, making sure our message gets out there. We have a fundraising group, of course, because none of this is free. We have a Democratic headquarters in Slidell. It's an office where it's meant to highlight the party and host political campaigns and inform the public. Of course, with COVID, it's been closed for a few months now. And finally, our newest team, and I'm going to promote this because I'm kind of pushing this one, is our legislative committee with the goal of pushing smart laws in the Louisiana legislature. This last session was absolutely disastrous. Baton Rouge made some terrible moves in the midst of a crisis. And so we're going to make sure we step up and make sure our voices are heard where it counts. So that's a bit about the Democratic Party here. If you have questions, let's go ahead and save them for after everyone's spoken so that we can get everything through. But if you have a specific question, you can always chat it in and maybe we can knock it out earlier, or at least it will save where you are.
And Sean, can I just quickly say that, let everyone know that I've muted everyone except for one of ours, whoever is speaking, and I'll manage the chat line, and you can chat to me if there's, when you'd like to ask a question. But for right now, if you do want to speak, you're on mute. And I wanted to welcome Christopher Meyer and Ashley Schilling to our group. They joined tonight. Pulling up the younger generation into the call. Thank you.
Great. So up next, we have Gail Aday. She's going to talk about the North Shore Democratic Women's Club and the League of Women Voters.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my first spiel is going to be on the North Shore Democratic Women's Club. We started our organization about 12 years ago, and we started it really as just a place to give us a chance to talk as a group and vent. It was really hard to talk politically in St. Tammany Parish. It still is, but not anything like it used to be. And once we started getting together, then we started to get active in different areas, because while we were happy that we were getting together socially, we were also angry and concerned with everything that we saw going on. So we are now active in political campaigns, causes. We do go to the legislature in Baton Rouge for different actions that we're supporting or against. We've developed numerous committees and task forces, and we're always willing to expand on those depending on what the pertinent issues of the day are. And as we know now, it seems like every day we have a few more issues that we have to jump on because of what's coming out of Washington. Right now, our active task forces are women's issues, the environment, programs for our meetings, and criminal justice and gun sense activities. We do support our community in a number of ways, financially and with actions. We've created and sold a cookbook where the proceeds went to feeding the hungry in St. Tammany Parish. We did send money to a couple of feeding ministries and a school in Lacombe that does gardening on the North Shore. The name of the cookbook was Feeding the Hungry, and that was pretty successful. We donate to various organizations on the North Shore, like our Friends Closet. They support homeless kids that are in school, that nobody wants to think that we have homeless children in rich St. Tammany Parish, but we do. We have donated to different schools. Just recently, we donated to the purchase of laptops for students in St. Tammany Parish. We also donate to campaigns and Democratic campaigns and Democratic organizations. Our club is open to Democratic women or women who are registered as independent or party but share more liberal, progressive Democratic views. We do have some fun too, along with doing the work that needs to be done. We go on field trips. Sometimes they're educational, sometimes they're just fun. One of the the most significant trips that we took was to Whitney Plantation, which still is, everybody should go there. We have a book club that meets monthly. And we meet monthly either on the third Sunday normally, which is today. We're having a Zoom meeting at 3 o'clock, or the third Wednesday of the month, usually at 7 o'clock at night. We alternate back and forth. Hopefully once this COVID gets behind us or we get a vaccine, we'll be meeting in public again. So that's all really I have to say about the Women's Club. It's a good group of women. We have, I guess, about 160 on our roster, and we may have about 50 that are active. And we go across the age groups, but like a lot of we're mostly older, but we would definitely love younger people to join us. You know, we are very open-minded and look forward to getting input from our younger members. So I'll go on now to the League of Women Voters of St. Tammany. I didn't invite them to speak, them being the leaders, because this is sponsored by the Democratic Party. The League of Women Voters is totally nonpartisan. So if you, and you do not have to be a woman to join the League of Women Voters. We have men in our organization, but they are, it's a nonpartisan organization established 100 years ago. I got involved after attending a seminar at the ACLU that one of the members spoke at. And this group of people, they are so smart and so well-versed. They lobby for things that the organization believes in. Some of those include criminal justice, healthcare, the environment, civic education, urban planning. They are steadfast in their beliefs. They actually had a suit, and I think they might be expanding on the suit, against the Secretary of State in Louisiana to have mail-in voting available for everybody going forward. And it didn't pan out the way they expected in the first go around at the election July 11th, but I don't think they're letting up on that. And it is a good group. Right now, we haven't been meeting because of COVID. We used to meet once a month at a local restaurant, and we review the St. Tammany Parish agenda for their council meetings. And sometimes one of our members will go and address the council depending on what is being talked about. Very active politically, and not politically by party, but very actively participates in causes. So I hope that helps you out. I'm done.
Gail, I do have one question I want to throw at you. How can people get involved with the Democratic Women's Club or with the League of Women's Voters? What's their first step?
I'm expecting to see a document. I had provided Facebook pages and websites for both of these organizations. If we don't have them, I'll get them to Lynn and we can get them out again. I believe the dues for the League of Women Voters is $59 a year. For the Women's Club, Democratic Women's Club, it's $25 per year. But maybe we could follow up with an email package of these organizations. That would be great. I think that Maurice had some of the information on the flyer that he produced.
Great, thank you so much, Gail.
Okay.
So next up, we have the American Civil Liberties Union of Louisiana, the ACLU. And if you haven't heard of them, you just haven't been paying attention because, frankly, they're probably one of the most effective civil rights organizations in the entire nation. So today we have Anaya Robinson with the ACLU. Anaya, why don't you get us started?
Great. Hey, everybody. My name is Anaya, and I'm a racial justice fellow at the ACLU of Louisiana. So that essentially means that I am an attorney, so I work on lawsuits, but I also work on policy and advocacy and community education. I'm really excited to be here. So I was hoping I could share a little bit about the mission of the ACLU, some current things that we're working on, and how people can get involved. And I also hope that there's questions at the end because I don't really like talking that much without questions. So first, a little bit about us. The ACLU is a national organization with about 1.5 million members, and we're dedicated to liberty and equality, which is, of course, embedded in the Constitution and our country's civil rights laws. Now, the ACLU of Louisiana is a statewide affiliate of the national ACLU, and we've been around since about 1956. And we work on a variety of issues, everything from mass incarceration to LGBTQIA issues, immigrants' rights, and artists and activists' rights to free speech. So we're working on a few things right now currently, and all of them are centered around racial justice and education. So in addition to our police brutality work, we actually just released a report about Louisiana's pretrial and cash bail system. And so essentially when a person is what we call pretrial, that they haven't had their trial yet or their day in court. And so even though the person is accused of committing a crime, they're actually still innocent. And so we did a lot of investigation about Louisiana's pretrial system, and we found out that about 57% of people in jail had been arrested for nonviolent crimes. And pretrial incarceration, jailing people who are still innocent, costs taxpayers in the state about $290 million a year. And on average, people who are in jail pretrial spend about 5.5 months behind bars. But those outcomes are even worse for Black people in Louisiana. Black Louisianans are more than twice as likely to be jailed pretrial than white people in this state. And specifically for Black boys and men between 15 and 24, they're 5 times more likely to be jailed pretrial than white boys and men in that same age group. And so we know that excessive bail is a major cause of this. Some people, if they have enough money, they can pay bail and still live their life while waiting for their day in court. But a lot of people in Louisiana are too poor to do that. So through our study, we learned that the median bail is about $24,000, but the median annual income in Louisiana is only $27,000. So you have a system where people are staying in jail in this state, not because they're guilty, but because they're too poor. So that's one thing that we're working on right now. And another thing that we're working on is a virtual exhibit in partnership with Tulane University that essentially explores the timeline from slavery in Louisiana to the current Black Lives Matter movement. And that will be launching in about late August. So be on the lookout for that. As for environmental justice, we submitted a brief to the court actually yesterday that involves an international company that's trying to build a large chemical plant in St. James Parish in an area that's known as Cancer Alley. Cancer Alley is predominantly poor Black people, and the company actually wants to build their plant on top of a slave cemetery. And a lot of the descendants of slaves buried in that cemetery still live in the area. And on top of that, the plant is going to emit lots of toxic gas and be noisy and hurt this community even more. So we're really proud and happy to be supporting that work. In New Orleans, we worked with a coalition of partners to introduce an anti-surveillance ordinance. So essentially, the city of New Orleans installed cameras all across the city for the purpose of reducing crime. But we had issues with that because we were worried that those cameras might only be placed in Black and brown neighborhoods, and because it's just a little creepy to have cameras watching you. So we're really proud to have worked with our partners on that. And lastly, we had our first annual Children's March for Racial Justice. So the event was a really great success. We had youth performances, we had a march, we had book readings, and a creative exercise where children and families could dream up a world without police violence. So those are just some of the things that we're working on. And I just want to add that we're really committed to working with the next generation of activists. Actually, tomorrow is the first day of National ACLU's week-long Advocacy Institute. So every day this upcoming week, people in high school and college are going to be attending a virtual boot camp that teaches them how to organize, how to lobby, more about the legislative process and things like that. And so National ACLU, they offer this institute once a year, and the ACLU of Louisiana is committed to sending students from Louisiana to the institute and also providing financial support to do so. This year, we were really proud to send 24 Louisiana high school and college students to the institute. So we're really happy about that. As for needs, I would say that our biggest need is for people to just help with event coordination and spreading the word about our work. To say that we're the ACLU of Louisiana, we are a pretty small staff. We're a staff of 7, but we do a lot of work. So events like the Children's March that we just had, it really required a lot of additional support. So we're looking to do more events like that, both virtually and in person when it's safe to do so. So if you're interested in helping out with that, and that would be wonderful. We also, from time to time, have mobilizing asks. So for example, we worked with partners to influence the governor to veto a law that would have nixed people's rights to protest. And so we relied heavily on people spreading the word, writing letters and things like that. So if you'd like to volunteer, I can post my email address in the chat box. And we also have links to our social media that I sent to BJ, but I can also post in the chat box as well. So if y'all have any questions, then just please reach out.
Great. Thank you so much, Anaya. Next up, we have a Voice of the Experienced, or VOTE, with Enziki Wiltz. You're up.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Again, my name is Enziki Wiltz, and I am an active member of VOTE, that is Voices of the Experience, an organization that is ran by formerly incarcerated folks. One of our leaders, Norris Henderson, along with many others, started this organization to help with issues that would affect those that's incarcerated. Our mission is to make change in the communities, to engage, to strengthen, to empower the rights. We focus on medical rights, employment rights, voting rights. We do a lot of community work. We're out in the community doing work. Like I said, our focus is to make change, and that's what we have been doing. We have been working on many projects. One of our current projects we're working on is the voter registration, and that is to get folks that was denied, that rejected, that was not able to vote, to go in and see why they wasn't able to vote. So that means we are going through hundreds of records. According to the Act 636, we need to go back because we're trying to get those people active voters, and we want to educate people. That's another thing we're doing during this COVID season. We're educating them through social media, through organizing, through leadership all across the state. We have chapters in Lafayette, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Shreveport. So we have members that come together often across the state to just attack issues that's affecting us right now, currently during the COVID-19. We also will be working on the Get Out and Vote. That will be going on. We need volunteers. And we know that you guys in St. Tammany, there are not a lot of vote members and they're not as active as we are here in New Orleans, but you are definitely needed. You can do work from right where you are. Those that have computer skills, they can help us with data. They could go in and help with records, make phone calls. They could do a lot of computer work through organizing through the computer. So some of us that have those good computer skills, you are definitely needed. And for those that will be down, we will soon be doing some other work where we're just, because of COVID-19, we are aware that we have to be at a distance and want to stay within the guidelines. So we will be doing canvassing, but it won't be actually engaging with the public as much. It'll be kind of dropping off information as it relates to the election and voting, the voting process. We'll be dropping off that information, kind of drop and go. So that's what you can do. You can do a lot. We work together, we come together, we build power, strength, unity, and we demand change. We demand change with the criminal justice system, and we get change and we get the job done. If you are interested in voting, being a part of vote, and just would like to do some voting registration work, I can leave our email address, contact information. You can also contact us through Facebook. You could go on our Facebook page and you can contact us at www.vote, that's VOTE -NOLA.org, or you can call 504-571-9599, and you can just reach out and we will add you and include you. Make sure you're getting those newsletters so you can be updated as we come together and work toward change.
Thank you, Nziki. I just sort of add to what she was talking about, the initiatives that they've been working on, especially with the ensuring the formerly incarcerated have a right to vote. That's a new law, and it was a big push to get that law passed. But passing the law was not the end of the road. I know here in St. Tammany Parish, there's been a lot of work with the clerk of courts, making sure that they have the right forms, making sure they understand the process, letting folks know that they can now vote. A lot of people still don't know they even have that right.
They can vote.
Mm-hmm. And so, when we talk about getting involved in politics, it continues even outside of the political realm. It's about policy making. It can be as simple as making sure a politician has the right form for people to fill out.
Yes.
So there's a lot to it.
It's a lot to it.
Thank you so much, Nziki. So let's go ahead and open it up for Q&A. If people have questions for any of the presenters, please throw them out. Maybe the best way to do it is pop up a little reaction, either a thumbs up or a hand clap on there, and we'll make sure you get on there.
I know Ashley had a question.
Okay, let's start with you, Ashley.
Hi, I was just gonna ask if there was some kind of bail fund that we could donate to.
Yeah, so the ACLU, we don't have a bail fund that we operate on our own, but there are a couple set up in Baton Rouge and New Orleans that not only cover the most recent arrests of people who were arrested while protesting, but they also work to pay the bail for people or immigrants who are detained, mostly up in North Louisiana. I can drop those links in the chat box for you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any other questions for folks? All right, I'm gonna turn it around then and ask for the folks who are not participants, what areas are you particularly passionate about? What is it that you want to get involved in? I'm gonna start calling to people. It's gonna be like school. All right, actually, I'm gonna start with you because you've been kind of talkative.
Yeah, sorry, I was typing in the chat. Well, right now I'm really passionate about mass incarceration, ending that, especially against racial minorities. And I feel like that's what's being targeted the most. And police brutality is another issue that I would like to address, especially with Jefferson Parish and New Orleans Parish in particular, because I've read they've been in the news lately, and a lot of cases where unarmed minorities or minorities in general being killed by police have just been either covered up or have been thrown out entirely. I don't think that's okay. I would like to work on that. And then also women's issues, because I know that we have a lot of progress on that in Louisiana, especially with all these new abortion bills. I would like to work on some of that.
That's great.
Fantastic. The hills. Let's come to the hills.
One thing I'm definitely interested in is just more community education, because here in St. Tammany, people just don't talk about these things, and we need to just, use our voices more. So community education is one thing, and definitely getting out the vote is something I'd be interested in, because the percentage of people who are inactive over here is just really frustrating to me, because so many people aren't using their voices, and we could use their help. So that's what I'm interested in.
You should definitely look at some of our party activities. We're doing a lot of that, because one of our problems here in St. Tammany in particular is that our voter turnout among Democrats is about 10 points lower than Republican turnout. So not only are we already a minority, we're not even using what we have. So
Right.
That's one of the things that we're definitely working on using. And we also have the communications committee, which we'd love for you to join as well. Christopher, let's hear from you.
So my kind of big issues, specifically looking at environmental justice, economic justice, and fiscal policy relates to taxes and different tax brackets and what that means. Also looking at kind of discriminatory lending and discriminatory zoning within communities and how neighborhood built and structured. And then also looking within St. Tammany Parish at education, specifically of how we can really, I think, on a more personal level, because I did go to school in St. Tammany Parish, of looking at actually sort of diversify and create a better curriculum for future generations to kind of, really understand Black history or minority history or things like that.
That's very good. With the budget side of things, you should really look at Louisiana Progress and the Louisiana Budget Project. Those are two programs that are really working hard on. Louisiana Budget Project is all financial, and how the budget and the finances of the state affect everyone. It gets into racial justice, it gets into poverty, it gets into all those things, because our policies have such a huge impact on it. And then Louisiana Progress has been big on the the ITEP, the industrial tax exemptions, and some of the other giveaways that the state has. Devin, I think you're the last one we haven't heard from.
Yes, hi. So our group is primarily focused right now on police reform, especially in Tammany Parish, with getting the local police on board with like body cams and other types of reform. That and environmental justice as well.
Yeah, we haven't talked much today about environmental issues, but there's a lot of groups that are working with that. Everything from the Sierra Club to CCA, the fishermen groups, who are pretty conservative. Like CCA is pretty conservative, but they're also, very conservationist as well. So there's, a lot of crossover there. So before we wrap up, any last questions for anyone?
I have a question.
Shoot.
I have a question for Ziki. I would love to hear that you have noticed that more and more voter turnout. What is your take on it right now in terms of the interest level, more voter turnout than other elections and times you've witnessed? Are you seeing a really higher voter turnout, possibly?
Well, I can tell you that I did canvassing work myself with the last election, which was the governor's election, and the voter turnout was really good. We had more voters that came out in the African American community than ever. So I can see where there's change happening, and it's because we were out, we was hitting the grounds, we were in the communities, like literally in the communities, talking, engaging with the people, talking about issues that matter. And when we get deep and talk to those in the community, I think the interest level, we were able to really get their attention, because the need for change is so great right now, especially with what's going on just across the nation. With the racism, I mean, folks, we're out and we're protesting a lot of what the killing that's going on, the police brutality. So I think that it'll be even better than it was before. So we're expecting those numbers to go up. And although we are not exactly in the community talking with folks one-on-one like we were able to do due to COVID, we are reaching out. We're reaching out, we're making calls, we're making those phone calls. That's really great. We're sending out newsletters. We're sending out newsletters to those that's incarcerated, their families. So our focus is to educate them so they can go out and vote and see the need, how, it's essential that we go out and vote so we can make change. So I see the change. I see the interest level rising because of what's all going on. And like I say, we're not able to touch each other, but we are touching each other just in spirit and through the work that we're doing.
Because I'll tell you what I'm kind of hearing just in my little circle here in Covington, a couple people I know, they're millennials, they're in their 30s. They've never voted in their life.
They never voted in their life. We have so many first-time voters. I meet a lot of first-time voters, guys that I actually sit and, before COVID, we would sit, me and a couple of folks will go out. We sitting at probation and parole. They have guys that just don't know, in the African-American community that they are able to vote. They're sitting in the offices, and they're just not the process is so discouraging. So they're avoiding that process, and that's why we are here. We're here to be that voice to educate them. We go out. I go to the probation and parole office. I'm helping them get those forms that they needed, and just going through and educating them and trying to help ease that process, because it is discouraging. And there are a lot of first-time voters that they're excited about being first-time voters, but it's a lack of knowledge, and that's what we're doing. We're out and we're trying to educate.
Yeah, I'm running into first-time voters myself and they're 33 years old.
34. I have a lot of senior citizens
Yeah.
that was on paper that just didn't know, was always told they couldn't vote, and they went off that theory. I can't vote. I've been on parole, but no, those laws and rules have changed.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And I think everyone recognizes that first-time voters, especially, under 30, it's kind of the holy grail of politics right now, because y'all are now the largest voting bloc in the nation, generationally speaking.
Yes.
Baby boomers dominated everything. Now it is millennials, but they don't vote. No, they don't show up. And that's the big elephant in the room, is that until people stand up and start voting, nothing's going to really change, because everyone else is going to continue to dominate that conversation. And that's why I always talk about politics, right? It's not about, the political game, but when you become active, and I was an environmental attorney for many years, you find out that you can throw all the best information, do all the hardest work to convince a decision maker to make the right decision. But sometimes it's just beating your head against a wall, and you have to change the decision maker. So that's why we're talking about voting. That's why we're talking about getting involved. Just change the whole conversation completely. So I want to thank everyone for joining us, our speakers, our participants, our audience. Look, if anything here sounded even remotely interesting, please reach out. We're here to get you involved. There's just so much passion out there right now, especially, but passion without action is just going to go wasted, and it's going to disappear. So let's get ourselves involved, and let's get everyone we know involved as well. So thank you again, and we'll make sure to get all this information out to you so that you can disseminate it as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Y'all have a
you.
good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.